Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Haven't seen a good Innawoods story thread in a while. Let's have one. Let's get some creepy, spooky, or weird times out in the woods.
Be like 18 years old. My friend and I live out in the country. We were going through the forest to gather wood. We're finished and on our way back. Suddenly a blizzard starts. It gets really bad. Like really, really bad. Like it feels like we're being stabbed with knives made out of ice bad. We aren't going to make it back home. We find an abandoned cabin in the woods. The door's open. We don't care about trespassing because no one's around and we don't want to die. We go inside to keep warm. It doesn't help much. We go from feeling like ice knives are stabbing us to just being completely numb all over. We can't start a fire or do anything else. We just keep our jackets wrapped around us and try to get warm. Eventually we passed out. I woke up sometime later. I don't know how long it's been. There is now a third person in the room with us, a freaking pale woman with white robes. I must be seeing things. Bits of snow and hail form wherever she breathes. She starts breathing on my friend. I can't quite tell, but his skin looks really off color. What the actual hell? The freaky woman turns around. She's looking right at me. I still have no idea who this person is, but I'm getting really freaked out. She makes a shh motion at me by putting her finger on her lips. She leaves without another word. I don't even know what that was about, but I'm still numb from the cold. I fell back asleep. I woke up later. My friend is still asleep. I try to wake him up. It's not working. He feels really cold. I'm getting really worried now. I walk home alone. I try to get help once I get back to civilization. Medics come. They tell me he froze to death. I was sick for a while after that, but I got better. I never figured out what that woman was, but I still miss my friend sometimes.
Be me, in my first year of college and constantly stressing out over petty assignments and other school-related bull. I still live with my parents because why not? My parents live at this lake that's surrounded by a typical Canadian prairie forest. One day I decided to go for a walk out in the woods. It was uneventful until about an hour in. I trip over something in the grass and land face first in some nettles. I realized that I tripped over a shattered bong covered in a red substance that's obviously blood. I don't think anything of it, just some overzealous local people getting up to their usual shenanigans. I kept walking for a bit, before I noticed a decent-sized stack of shoes that also happened to be covered in what looked like blood. I was stupid then, and I thought that I could possibly find something good out there. I keep following a well-trodden trail in the grass, along the way finding more articles of clothing. I find socks and jeans ripped to shreds and tossed haphazardly on the tree branches. As I'm following this clothing trail, I finally come to its end, and there's a giant pile of ladies' purses and backpacks that look like they've been out there for ages. I rummage around through them, but they've been emptied, and one of them was shat in. I decided that this is the part where it got creepy and noped out of there. On my way home, I heard the strangest sound, like a half-assed attempt to imitate the sound of a quad engine. Probably some people having a laugh. Halfway home, I hear this annoying sound coming from all different directions. I wussied out and sprinted home because from every horror movie ever, that's usually a bad sign. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my story. Interpret it as you will.
Here's my story. This was a few years back when I was 13 or so. Be me. I was in Boy Scouts. I was going on a camping trip with my troop. It's somewhere in Connecticut, and it's far away from the other campsites. We got there. We unload. We walk to the site. We start setting up stuff and put our sleeping bags in the lean-to. For those who don't know, a lean-to is a very small cabin with a roof, side, and rear walls, but the front has no wall so you can see right out. After we collect firewood, we get ready to sleep. We got settled, sitting there in my sleeping bag for a while. All the people around me are fast asleep. I am still awake because of insomnia. Also, I should say that a few meters to the left is the troop leader cabin, where the adults were sleeping. Suddenly, everything goes quiet. There's a highway overpass down the trail so I can hear cars all night too. Cars, crickets, and random wood noises stop. Dead silence. Fog starts to form around the lean-to. Oh shit. A loud bang is heard from the left wall. I yell, "Oh shit!" This wakes everybody up. Another bang. The kids scream. The adult cabin lights flash on. Another bang. We all nope out of the lean-to and stand around the fire pit. We freeze in shock. There's a silhouette in the fog of a man holding an axe. One adult comes out and starts yelling at the guy to get out of here. Other adults start running out of the cabin. All the kids, me included, run to another lean-to, which is to the right of ours. The guy starts screaming, "We got him!" A loud yell. More screaming from the adults. One guy takes out a gun and shoots. The guy then runs off into the forest. All of the kids are huddled, scared. We pack up and get out. We never go back. To this day, I have no clue who the guy was. The banging was caused by the short logs that were scattered around. He was throwing them at the side. It still gives me chills thinking about it. I have another Boy Scout story. Not as bad, though. If anything, it was a bit odd. This was a year ago when I was 17. Be me again. I was in a cabin with friends. The scout leaders are there, but I see one slip out the door. "Nice try, I saw you." I think he's going to play a prank. Nothing happens for about 5 minutes. Then I hear my car alarm go off. I have a loud air horn installed so I can hear it well. Also, the cabin we were in is across a huge lake from the lot, so it's a few minutes walk. One scoutmaster yells, "Anon, go shut that off." I run out of the cabin and walk to the lot. I get there and decide to bring the car up to the cabin because why not? I get in and start it up. I start driving to the cabin. I roll the window down to hear my exhaust. This is where it gets weird. I hear some movement in the trees. Animals reacting to the car, no biggie. It starts to get louder and closer. I tap the horn to scare off the thing. It's still coming. I floor it. I look in the rearview mirror. I see this person jump out of the bushes. Dirty clothes and wild hair. Nope. I get to the cabin. I get in trouble for honking. I also noticed the guy who left had come back before I did. In the morning, I checked out that area, and I see there was a campsite in the bush, but no people. It could have been a person who was there that night because the fire pit was smoldering. Not something that'll keep you up all night, but weird nonetheless. I also don't know what set my car's alarm off either.
Several years ago in college in Northern California, in beautiful, lush redwood forests, I used to go on hikes all the time. A local dude told me to be careful because of hidden pot farms. Apparently, they put booby traps around them and will shoot trespassers. One day, I'm deep in the woods hiking through some shallow canyons, and I see what looks like a deer blind made of branches and leaves. I have a sudden bad feeling. My hair stands on end. I stop in my tracks and stare at it in silence for several minutes. It seems empty, and I realize it's after deer season, so I cautiously approach to check it out. I get up to it and look around and inside. It's empty. I decided to chill out and eat my packed lunch while hanging out in it. I hear a weird buzzing sound like electricity or something. I look around but can't tell where it's coming from. Suddenly I get really dizzy like I'd pounded a fifth of vodka or something. The next thing I know, I'm waking up on the ground, my head hurts and I'm disoriented. It's nearly dark, so at least 3 hours have passed. No watch, cell was dead. I get up and stagger around in a circle trying to figure out what is going on. For some reason, there's snot coming out of my right ear. What the fuck? I am really freaked out at that point and decide to get the fuck out. It is dark by the time I get back to my car. I still have no idea what happened. I had a headache for days and my right ear has been screwed up ever since. Kind of a lame story, but it's my only spooky Innawoods experience and it still freaks me out.
Have some fresh OP. Story goes, the Gate. So this story is mainly an urban legend. However, neither proof for nor against any alleged actions have ever been found. Case in point, the location of this haunted area is smack dab in the middle of upper middle class America. I live in the second wealthiest county in my state, in pretentious suburbia. There have been other murders and conspiracies notorious in my town. However it does, it's best to cover its ass and keep information hidden. That being said, take what you want from my Greentext, but I'll tell you all I know. The story goes that our town had an all-girls finishing school back in the 50s. The dean of the institution snapped and murdered 4 of the students, dismembering their heads and posting them on the front gate of the property grounds. Since then, the school has been demolished and a forest has overgrown the area. The local county adopted this property as part of their preserves and are accessible to citizens. The gate is located off a low-key back road on the northeast side of the property and is visible from the street. The actual remaining foundation is about 2 miles deep through dense forest, and not many people can claim to have actually been there. 2 summers ago, my friends and I couldn't think of anything to do, so we decided to go ghost hunting. There's no parking, but there's a neighborhood less than a quarter mile away, so we parked there. In my car alone, there were only 3 people, including myself. Someone sat passenger and behind me. We met up with 3 other cars full of people. I'd say there were probably 12 or 13 of us total. We got there about an hour before the sun went down, so I was able to grab some photos, but the ones I have are from the end of the line. None of the trail, unfortunately, sorry. First, walking up to the gate, a bunch of girls in the group started getting freaked out, saying, "Nope, we can't go further." Everyone else was not having it, saying, "We're here. You're either coming as a group or going back to wait at the car alone." They decided to stop whoring for attention and joined the line. We walked on the forest preserve trails until we ended at a fence, which we hopped into the woods. From this point, it was all single file. We marched forward, and the first unusual thing I found was this giant ash tree that was nearly gnawed through at the base. Now, this tree was huge, easily over 60 feet tall. The width of the trunk had to have been at least 12 feet around, and at the base of the tree, there was about a 2-foot clearance, with the exception of a remaining one, 2 inches at the trunk. Like when I really noticed this, I freaked out. Oh shit, watch out. We kept going and came to this really odd clearing. There was an open area, with 6 trees lined up along the sides. We found about 8 trash bags full of mostly unidentifiable material. Some were identified, but for the most part, it almost looked like brown ash. This is odd, but whatever. We keep trekking on and get to this field of tall prairie grass. We trek through it, and once the last girl gets to the other side, she screams. We all turned around. "What's wrong?" She's pointing up, and I swear to God there was a noose in the tree. At this point, we're about a mile into the journey, maybe a little less than halfway. All the girls freak out and turn back. A couple of guys went with them too. Only 4 of us were continuing on now. Come on, I want to see some evidence. After another half mile of uneventful woods, we came across this pile of bed springs and metal. This area we were at had a bunch of really random things. I found a bit of a porcelain toilet rim, an old vial with unknown liquid in it, a piece of a plate, and some roofing tiles. But still no sign of any kind of foundation or structure nearby. Yet. The closer we got, we started noticing some trees with unusual scorch marks. Now, I'm no environmental biologist or anything, so I have no idea what exactly the burning or weeding process is, but to my knowledge, they burned complete areas respectively. And not just scorching half of a tree on random trees within a quarter-mile radius of this epicenter that we found. The epicenter, as I call it, just had the only significant signs of a building that we found anyways. We found some large log beams lined up perfectly across the clearing, along with this weird structure. Can anyone possibly enlighten what this might have been? I figured this was probably as good as we were going to get. The sun was starting to go down, so we decided to head back. We turned around to head back toward the gate. This time, the guys were ahead of me. I want to say I felt something was present, but it could have just been a chill in the air. We marched back the 1.5 miles and found the rest of the gang hanging out under this canopy. I said, "You're all still here?" They said, "Yeah, we found this cool area here, have a drink." I relayed the pictures and evidence we found, as the guys told me that they convinced the girls to drink their fear away. We drank about an hour into sundown and things seemed pretty well, until we saw a light coming toward us in the distance. "Who's that?" Who would be out in the preserve this late at night? I don't know, maybe other teens? No, seriously, it's coming right toward our group. No one had anything illuminating on them at this time, and it was already so dark that we could hardly see anything beyond 10 feet away from the group. It could be a cop. A lot of the guys start to freak out, saying, "Oh, let's move out," etc. Until I speak up in a loud whisper, "Everyone just shut up and listen for a second." We all look at each other, dead silence among us. I hear it. The two people next to me heard it too. It was a soft whisper of a little girl. "Do you think they can see us?" The three of us immediately turn around. I swear I saw a shadow move between a couple of the trees. One of the anons that heard it yelled, "Did anyone else fucking hear that?" Someone who didn't hear the whispers disregarded everything because she was too fixated on the light still. "Guys, it's a lantern." "What?" "It's not a flashlight, it's a hanging lantern. Look at the way it's moving." She was right. It was a controlled ball of light that was swaying back and forth gently while moving forward. While I'm looking at the light, 3 different people are claiming to hear whispers as well. They're getting louder. We need to get out of here. "Wait, where's Anon?" One of the guys in the group goes AWOL, and of course it's the freakiest guy in the group. We can't leave without looking for him. I honestly was okay with the idea of leaving him, but being the good guy I am, I said, "Okay, you guys go on ahead, I'll stay and look." Everyone runs back to the cars from this point, except my main bro. He said, "I'm here for you, man." I replied, "Thanks, bro." My bro and I head back toward the foundation. We get to the clearing with the trash bags again and stop in the middle. My bro looks at me with the look of, "Oh God, please don't suggest we split up." I say, "Let's go this way instead." We take a different path and end up finding this little hidden pond between the trees. I say, "Shit, did you notice this before?" He replies, "Nope." Oh my God, there he is, on the other side of the pond. I shout out to him, "Anon, what the fuck are you doing?" He keeps walking past as if he didn't hear me. My bro and I start running toward his direction, hoping to meet up with him. We get to the other end of the pond, and he's nowhere to be found. What the fuck, he was just here. We keep walking north when all of a sudden he pops out from one of the trees, all nonchalant as if he was just on a casual stroll. "What the fuck, man? Everyone else went back to the cars. Where the hell did you come from? We just saw you back there. How'd you get in front of us?" He doesn't say a word and keeps walking back south past us. I'm fuming because fuck this guy. "Hello? Did you even see or hear anything?" He keeps walking and quietly says, "I know everything." This kid is seriously freaking us out. My bro says, "Well, let's just get back to the cars now, yeah?" I replied, "Yeah." My bro and I walked behind the guy, making sure he didn't make any other detours. We made it out of the woods, and from that point we decided to just get out of there and started running back to the cars. The freak continued to walk. I turned back occasionally to make sure he was following. He was. We made it back up to the gate, and I noticed that the iron posts were leaking something. We were not staying to investigate. We got to the road and ran up until the halfway point between the gate and the neighborhood entrance. Across the street from this point of the road is a huge field of prairie grass. My bro and I stopped to gaze at a white figure walking through the field. It looked like a headless figure, wearing a long white flowing dress. The freaky guy passed us at this point as we just stopped to stare, making sure we both could clarify what we saw. We got back into the neighborhood and met the rest of the gang by the entrance. We all walked back to the cars together. The backseat passenger side door of my car was completely ajar. Nobody sat there coming here. I had the keys the entire time. I distinctly remember turning back to double-check doors and locks before we left for this whole ordeal. Needless to say, that was the last time I ever went to these woods.
Not really an Innawoods story, because I was in my house at the time. But some of this thread reminded me of this. I live up on a hill with the edge of the woods not 50 yards away, so I kinda live on the edge of the woods, if that counts. Anyway, this was a few years back, in like 2004 or 2005, during the early summer before it got really hot. B15, maybe 16 years old because of a summertime birthday. It's 2 in the morning, and I'm in my room, in my underwear. reading scary stuff that was linked by /x/. I get a strange urge to open the curtains and look out the window. The edge of the porch light abruptly stops at a tree that I know should have been able to cast light past. I see something moving in the odd shadows caused by the abrupt edge that the light has. Something glints just a bit in the dark, like an eye or a piece of glass. The edges of whatever it is look like a huge black cat, about the size of a panther or other big cat. There are no eye reflections, though, which all cats have and would have been visible. Starting to nope, I don't take my eyes off of whatever I'm seeing. Suddenly, a sharp pain in the left side of my chest quickly spreads into my shoulder. I yank the curtains shut, sit down on the edge of the bed, and am suddenly out of breath. I am holding my chest and shoulder as I am panting. I check, and there's a striped red mark on my shoulder down to my chest. The whole thing couldn't have taken more than maybe 10 minutes. I look at the clock, which reads 4:45. Nope. I open the curtains again just a bit. The light is now casting past the edge of the tree it couldn't pass before. I am noping kinda hard. I turn my computer off, lay down in bed, and stare at the ceiling until the sun comes up. I take the dogs out and walk around in the area the thing was. There are no tracks, but a lot of scuffed dirt, like there had been a straight-up rolling on the ground fist fight there recently. My mom rolls up after just getting off work at 6 a.m. I tried to explain what happened. She treats me like I'm 5 and tells me I had a nightmare. She claims the marks on my shoulder are from where I slept on it wrong. I tell her that I haven't slept at all yet. She tells me that I'm either wrong or I'm high. She starts interrogating me on whether I've been smoking, popping pills, or shooting up. I tell her she's being an idiot and go to bed, only able to sleep now that the sun's up. I haven't been able to sleep right for the last decade. I am clocking in 8 to 10 hours a night minimum, starting at 2 in the morning or later unless someone wakes me up. I don't, and never have, smoked pot or taken any pills not prescribed to me. In addition, I have a severe phobia of needles resulting from when I was very young and had pneumonia, which came with an IV in my arm that I kept pulling out.
It was Cat Sith. You need to put a bowl of buttermilk on your porch next Samhain or Halloween. Otherwise, he will try to steal your soul. If you give him the offering described, he will leave you alone and rid your property of vermin.
5 years ago, myself and 4 other friends, another guy and 3 girls, thought it would be fun to play with a Ouija board in a cemetery. I say Ouija board, but it was actually a psychic circle anyway. We didn't want to get caught doing this, so we went to an old remote cemetery out in the woods, just off of a back road. Obviously, we went at night, so it was about midnight when we got there. Parking outside the gates, got our flashlights, and went in. Approaching the first row of graves, we noticed that one of them had been half uncovered. The grave hadn't been like this long. In fact, we were pretty positive that we had interrupted whoever was doing it. So we looked around a little, checked the woods, and made sure whoever was there had gone. And afterwards, we continued as planned. We set up the board south of the disturbed grave and began asking it questions. I'll say now that I don't believe in ghosts, but you can make what you want of the following events. Like I said, we were asking it questions, though nothing too exciting was happening at first, but soon the pointer started sitting over the word Earth before sliding north off of the board toward the uncovered grave. This happened twice before we realized what it was asking of us, so we asked, "Do you want us to fill in your grave?" At which point it answered, "Yes." We all then looked at each other for a second with WTF expressions on our faces. What happened next is very cliché, but it's what happened. So there we were thinking WTF, when suddenly lightning lit up the sky, followed by a massive roar of thunder and heavy rain. So we packed up the board before it got damaged, went to the grave, put all of the unearthed soil back in, and left. The drive home was especially creepy, considering the sudden rain brought a thick, low fog that covered all the roads. I still remember seeing something weird in the fog, though, and the others saw it as well. A pillar of fog about 5 feet tall that resembled a human form. Like I said, I don't believe in ghosts. I think the fog was just weird fog, and I think that one of the others wanted to cover the grave up, or was being funny. The creepiest thing is that someone was messing with a grave, but weird stuff happens in the woods down south.
Alrighty, I'll post my Innawoods story. I've posted it before but never bothered to save it. This happened almost 5 years ago when I was 16, just outside of Rotorua, New Zealand. The really spooky part actually happened to my friends. I saw nothing, only heard noises and saw the aftermath. B16 on holiday back home from Australia. I am staying with my friend for a month. One night he says one of our old friends from primary school, elementary, is having some drinks at his. I say screw it and go along. He lives just outside of Rotorua on a house with a lot of land. He mostly stays in the big shed about 100 meters from his main house. His parents are gone for a week. We turn up at about 7 and start catching up over a few beers. There are about 10 of us, 8 Maoris, me and another white dude, the guy I'm staying with. Now these guys love their weed and are keen to smoke up. I hate the shit, so I don't contribute. The guy whose house it is says he knows a guy about 30 minutes down the road who can sell them some. Since we have all been drinking and I don't have my license, driving is out of the option. So my friend, we'll call him Peter, decides he's just gonna walk there. By now it's about 9:30 and dark as shit. He goes by himself since everyone else is too lazy. Now this part is through the perspective of my friend when he left. I leave the house and start walking to the dealer's place. There are no lights on the road, so all I have is my music. It's basically a lot of trees the whole way to the dealer's house, which looks creepy at night, but I try not to think about it. As I'm walking, I hear the odd, weird noise here and there. It sounds like wailing, but I can't tell if it's coming from the woods, my music, or my paranoid imagination. I'm on edge, so I start walking faster just to be safe. I finally arrived at the dealer's house after some impressive power walking. I bought a $75 pack. I asked the dealer if he could drop me home since it's like 10:15 p.m. at night by now. He says no since he has to work early and says I'm lucky he even sold me this in the first place. I start making my way back down that scary-ass long street. I don't turn my music on this time because who knows? The entire time walking back I can hear twigs snapping. I try to play it off as pigs or boars or whatever. That's when I realize I don't hear any normal nature noises at all, like no cricket or cicada noises or anything. I commence maximum overdrive power walking. I glance out into the trees every so often to see if I can find out what's making all that snapping, but it's so dark I can't see a thing. I am still another 20 minutes from the house, and I feel like this road is never going to end. There's a part of the trees next to the road that suddenly stops, and then there's a hill. It's about 100 meters up this thing on a slope, not too vertical at all. As I'm walking past it, I notice these two gigantic humanoids standing at the top of it completely still, hands by their sides, looking right at where I am. I freeze from the fear and complete surprise. I can't make out any features at all. They look completely black. All I know is they were at least 7 feet tall, if not more, and lanky. The only reason I can see them is because of the moonlight illuminating the hill. I really don't know what to do. My body is actually not moving no matter how much I want it to. They let out a blood-curdling scream, get down on their hands and feet, and sprint down this hill like a couple of world-class greyhounds. My body is suddenly unfrozen. I sprint back to my house as fast as I possibly can. My legs are basically moving on their own at this point. I'm crying and it feels like my lungs are filled with ash. I can still hear these things screaming. It sounds pretty close, and I won't dare turn around. I literally sprint the whole way home with these things in pursuit most of the way. I come to my driveway and I'm pretty sure they stopped, but I still didn't stop to look. Now back to my perspective. By now it's like almost 11 and we are wondering where Peter is. Just watching SpongeBob and the Brown Boys are starting to get antsy because they really want their weed. My mate says fuck it, I'm gonna walk down the driveway to see if he is far or not. Literally, as he goes to reach for the door, Peter comes flying through it, knocking my other mate on his ass in the process. I swear to God he almost knocked the door off its hinges because I'm pretty sure he ran and jumped at it. The sound was so loud and gave me the biggest fright. I jumped backwards off the couch like everybody in that room was going to explode. Peter turns around and slams the door shut and starts piling shit in front of it, and then collapses into a blubbering, panicking mess. Everybody is wondering what is going on. It took us a solid 10 minutes to calm him down and ask him what happened. Everyone thought the cops were chasing him or something. So in between the odd sob and a cry every now and then, he told us the story I mentioned above. Since he's as pale as a bedsheet and on the verge of a mental breakdown, we all believe his story. I go around the shed and start closing all the blinds, too scared to look out. One of the more superstitious of my friends, called Junior, starts telling us about some old Maori legends about supposed white fairy people who lived on Mountain Gongotaha near Rotorua until our ancestors killed them all, and now their angry spirits haunt the surrounding forested areas. My other mate, Douglas, doesn't buy any of this and just says Peter is overreacting. He starts calling him a wuss and whatnot. We tell him to shut up because it isn't helping, and Peter is hugging his knees near the TV and is basically unresponsive at this point. An argument breaks out among us as to whatever is out there. I say we should all just stay inside, don't take any chances. My mate I'm staying with says, let's just forget about all this and smoke a bowl. I calm our nerves. Are you out of your mind? GIF. Douglas wants to prove how tough he is and grabs a metal pole from a broken lamp and decides to head outside, calling us a bunch of drop nuts in the process. He goes outside and slams the door behind him. No one gets up to check where he goes, but no more than 3 minutes out there, we hear a scream. Then, panicked footsteps on gravel before the door comes flying open again. Again, I get scared, and I know for sure this is for real. Douglas is breathing heavily, and his eyes are as wide as they could go. Then he too gets up and starts chucking more things in front of the door, even stupid things like magazine stacks. It's a paranoid mess inside this shed, and nobody is loving it. I asked him what he saw, and all he said was, I got to the end of the driveway and started swinging the pole around, asking whoever was out there to come out and fight me like a man. Then I heard a psst noise from beside me in the tree line, and I saw a white face, about 7 and a bit feet up the tree, poking its head out from behind it. It had no hair whatsoever on its head, and its smile was so big, so fucking big it wasn't normal. That's when he decided to come racing back up to the shed. We are all running in fear and trying to arm ourselves with whatever in case shit hits the fan. Peter finally stops crying and says his dad has a hunting rifle in the main house and suggests one of us go and grab it. We decide this is the safest possible place for us under the circumstances. We try to get some sleep. We are woken up at about 2 a.m. to Douglas and Peter shaking everyone awake. There are scratching noises coming from the door and light thumping noises coming from the roof. Everyone arms themselves again and basically tries hiding behind one another. We huddle together for a couple of hours until the noises stop at about 4 a.m. We don't sleep for the rest of that and go home as soon as the sun is completely up. I don't know what these things were, but all I know is they managed to make all of us fear for our lives. Peter refused to stay there by himself and ended up just staying with a maid in town for the remainder of the week until his parents came back. Moved all his stuff back into their house too, and lived there until he went to uni in Auckland. Douglas still tries to rationalize what he saw as just his imagination playing up or something. Even though we all know he actually believes what he saw, he's just in denial, I think. I now have a fear about staying on farms near the woods due to that screwed up experience. My mate I was staying with was pretty unmoved by the whole ordeal. He was mostly gutted that he put in money for the weed but never got any because my mate dropped it while he was running for his life. TLDR, weed will get you killed.
A story my grandfather told me as a child, one that took place when he was young. He's 10-ish. He lives in upstate Michigan, in the middle of nowhere. His house is surrounded by heavy woods. He goes for walks through it all the time. One day, he gets kind of lost. Embarrassed and disappointed, I imagine, he begins looking for his way back. It's getting dark. He notices something seems to be following nearby. He finds a familiar path back. Uneasy, he begins to hurry back. He gets a ways down, almost out. He hears that something again. He turns around. Nothing. He keeps at it, the clearing up ahead. Something close behind him. He turns again. A fox humanoid thing standing a few feet away on the path. It has a human shape. He said it had feet, fingers, hands, and the works. A fox-like face. What? It makes a raspy, chuckling sound. It lunges towards him. He turns and books it down the path. The whole time he can hear it laughing between strides. He makes it out. It's gone. He never tells his parents. He never sees it again. He never walks in the woods again.
I was camping with friends at night. I went out to piss. Something grabs me from behind and covers my mouth. I wriggle violently because I forgot how to kick or punch. Eventually, suffocation sets in. I woke up. It's still night. I run to where I think camp is. I can't see camp anymore. I stumble around for a good 20 minutes. I find camp. I wake my friends up. I tell them we have to get the fuck out of here. They ask why. I say, there's a murderer and he almost killed me. We get the fuck out of there. We drive away at 120 miles per hour. I tell them I got choked out and ask if they saw anything. They ask when I was choked out. I tell them it was right after I took a piss. They say, that's bullshit. You came back right after. Oh, shit. I ask them what I did. They say, you just sat there. You cracked a smile a couple of times. That was it. When we went to our tents, you were gone, so we thought you were sleeping. I never camped there again. I never talked to anyone about it. I shit immense bricks for the rest of my life.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.